Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel, and it's time for a tour today. We're going to go around all three plots, starting with mine, then my middle daughter Jennie's and my wife Debbie's. And there's been a lot going on the plots. There's been a lot of transitions, mainly on Jennie's plot, where we've taken out the broad beans and the onions and the garlic, and so it's all change on Jennie's plot. And I started to do some transitions on my plot as well today, finally getting a bit of time down in the allotment after a bit of time cycling and walking and whatever. Yeah, it's all going pretty well. I'm pretty pleased. I think we've harvested about 4,250 pounds worth of eggs this year so far, so I'm pretty pleased with that. And I've just finished the planning for next month today, sitting in Cafe Nero. So that's all done, so I'm pretty much ahead of things, and yeah, I'm just enjoying it. It's been pretty good. We've had a few failures, mainly at home actually, where we've got a couple of beds where things are just not growing. So I've got some golden beetroot, it's just not growing, and some chard again, just not growing at all. You know, it's been about a month and really there's been no significant increase in size. Now, I'd originally put it down to the company that treats our lawns, must have put some weed killer on the lawn or something like that, but I rang them up and they said no, they absolutely do not put any broadcast weed killer on the lawns. Very occasionally, if they spot a weed, you know, one of those sort of creeping weeds that creeps all through the roots of the grass, then they'll spot weed treat that, but other than that, no. So they pretty much guaranteed that that wasn't the case. Sent me all the details of all the products that they use, etc, etc. So and I know the guy that does it, and you know, so I trust him, and if he says he doesn't do it, then he doesn't. So it's a bit of a mystery basically, but other than that, everything's going pretty well. So I'll show you around. In fact I've just finished tidying up the polytunnel, and God, it's so good to get it tidied up. The tomatoes were just out of control. Missed loads. I always seem to do it. Missed loads of suckers, side shoots. You know, just spring from nowhere. And then when you look, you know, you think you've gone through and got rid of them all. And it's only when you do a proper end-to-end tidy up that you spot them all. It's like massive suckers, just, you know, just come from nowhere. But anyway, that's all gone, and everything's looking pretty good. So let's have a look. So this is where I'm sitting at the moment, and these are all peppers down the centre here, and these are growing really well. I'm really pleased with them. I think they're getting enough light as well, because they're nice stocky little plants. They don't look leggy at all, and they're all down here all looking good. I don't like having everything all packed in. There's plenty of pepper plants here for me. So, you know, other people have said, why you could put twice as many in there, but no, that's kind of the density that I want. And I've got beetroot down the front, and I've got carrots down the back, and I'm going to have basil in between the pepper plants. And then up here in the hanging baskets, which will eventually move to the other side of the polytunnel where there's more drop, those are my cucamelon plants. And I might as well get up now. They're actually growing really well now, so I'm really pleased with those. And this is the only tomato in a container, not quite the only, but one of the few tomatoes that I've left in a container in the polytunnel, and it's going absolutely crazy from the perspective of flowers, but there's almost no tomatoes on it yet. So that's kind of quite annoying, because it's had these flowers for a very long time. I've got 2 cucumbers at the ends of the polytunnel. I'm pleased to say that I finally got decent sized cucumbers on here. This one was planted a little bit later than the other one, and you can tell because the cucumbers are just that little bit smaller. And then you can see that I've tidied up the tomatoes, taken off those bottom leaves, and they just look so much better for it. This was getting so cramped and untidy, and they were really getting in the way of these peppers that are down the front here. And then I've left a couple of tomato plants in pots. This is Ildi, And I've left it in here just because I'm amazed at the size of these trusses, and I'm fascinated to see whether I actually get a decent number of tomatoes, because the trusses are just ridiculous. So trying to give them as good a conditions as I can. And then I've got the trumpettinos, and we're harvesting these like kind of crazy at the moment. Just huge numbers of these, and we prefer them to courgettes because the whole length of this is effectively like a courgette, and the seeds are only here. So basically it's just like a really long seedless courgette, and as you can see there's quite a few on here, and we've been harvesting them, as I said, for quite a while. We've got more tomatoes down here and more peppers down the front, and then another trumpetino, and again we just harvested a massive one. In a way I wish we'd left it on, but it was probably 18 inches, and yeah, really good, probably about 2 inches in thickness. So yeah, highly recommend these trumpettinos. The only problem is if it gets too hot they kind of stall, growth kind of stalls on them, but anyway, they're doing really nicely, and the tomatoes are all doing pretty well. Some of the peppers, really, I don't know what happened to them, they've got this really yellowy leaf, but all the new growth is fine, so I'm not so worried. And I did put in some spring onions in here. I'm not really sure whether that was a very good idea, but anyway, I've got plenty of spring onions outside, so it doesn't really matter. And then another ildy with equally ridiculous sized trusses, and I've taken the tops off because I didn't want any more trusses. Basically I wanted it to focus on actually ripening up and setting some seed. And I've got some beetroot here, just a little bit of beetroot, which was meant to be my early beetroot, and it is early-ish. I mean, we've got beetroot outside that's not much smaller than that, but it's doing okay. Some tomato leaves that I've just been tidying up, and then whoops, I'm just taffeled up. Hold on. Taffeled up with a tomato plant. Right, okay, sorry about that. More loads and loads of cucumbers, and we've harvested loads as well. Once cucumbers get going, it's really hard to keep up with them. And of course the celery, which is great at the moment. We're harvesting that, as we always do, as a cut and come again crop. And you don't need very much when you harvest it like that, unless you're making huge quantities of soup or something. But for us, it's better just to have, you know, a dozen or so stalks broken off each week, and just keep on doing that for the whole of the year. So I've left 1 or 3 rather sweet corn plants in here, and that's growing nicely, and cobs are starting to form nicely on that. A couple of cobs on each one, so 6 sweet corn there, and then we've got some down the end there. But I'll just quickly talk about, we're heading for some really hot weather, sort of hot weather we had in June last year, and the polytunnel kind of overheats, and it just gets too hot for everything just stops growing. So I put this mylar blanket up, and it's really quick to pop it up and take it down, and it just reflects out the midday heat. So the sun still comes in the morning and in the evening on this side, but right at midday when it's really beating down, this just reflects a lot of that heat out, and it just makes it so much more pleasant in here. It just gets ridiculous, 40-50 degrees in here. In fact, we'll just look at the high, 101, 38, and that's just today. So, and it's not been particularly hot today, so that's really good. And I started moving all my stuff out of here now, as anything I can. So I've got my runner beans, and you can see we're harvesting these like crazy at the moment. We're getting a really lovely crop of of runner beans. And this is one of the things I really like about the polytunnel, is start stuff off in the polytunnel and then move it outside later on. Obviously pretty hard to get runner beans like this, and we've been harvesting them for about 3 weeks now outside, but it's really easy to get them started in the polytunnel and then move them out. Obviously it's only in a relatively small pot, so it needs a lot of water, and it's relatively unstable, so it is kind of just fastened to the water tank, which is full, just to give it a little bit of stability. And I've also got some outdoor cucumbers here. I've got some more sweet corn here, some more outdoor cucumbers and gherkins and things like that in pots. And I've also moved all my strawberries outside now, so there's strawberries here, and this is very sickly looking tomato, so I moved that outside. Although the tomatoes on it are ripening, so it is worth having. And I've got more strawberries out here, and I'll just start taking runners off these soon. And I only recently planted these ochre. I'm really pleased with the way they're going. And they're in these pots because one of the things about ochre is that it really grows its tubers really late in the year, in sort of December time, or November, December, and it gets killed off by the frost. So if you can pop these inside the polytunnel, pop a bit of fleece over them and keep them going for as long as possible in December, you're really going to get a much bigger crop. And I'm growing these for tubers for next year's plants rather than predominantly for eating, so trying to get as good a crop as I can. Just cleared a lettuce bed here and a spinach bed here. I hate clearing beds, absolutely hate it, but I love it when they're at this stage, because there's just so much promise when, and I know that, because I love planting, when I know I've got a whole range of beds all ready for planting, it's just such a nice feeling, because I've got so many seedlings. I might show you them a bit later on in the video. They're at home on the patio. So many seedlings waiting to go in, so much promise, and as soon as those seedlings are ready, got beds ready for them. Always give the beds a really good water, and then put this mulch on. It keeps them nice and moist, ready to go at a moment's notice. I just cleared the peas out here. These were mulched too, Oregon sugar pod, and I really loved them, so we've got some more ready to go in. I just popped some just a market more cucumber in there as well, and prepared another bed. That was where the cauliflowers were. Fantastic batch of cauliflowers there, and a couple of cabbages, and a lettuce bed. And I've got some cauliflowers here which were kind of being eaten a little bit with caterpillars, but I think we found the caterpillars. More cauliflowers here, but they are struggling a little bit with so much growth on the lettuces, whereas these calabrese, planted at the same time, are doing much better. And then these are some of my tomatoes in pots. It's just been a bit too hot for them, so no, I've just got them out of the way there, let those tomatoes ripen off. I'm not going to grow tomatoes in hanging baskets next year. It's just too much hassle. I'm not keen on hassle. I like things easy. So let's just keep going around the perimeter. Water's doing well. Some more sweet corn and courgette in that container there, and again more of my early strawberries in pots. Just cleared some cabbages and cauliflowers there, more cabbages here, popped in some Brussels. Early carrots are still doing well, and it's a good job I did these carrots in these containers, because I think we've been eating these since we ran out of carrots in store, so we've had continuous carrots all the way through winter. These are doing really well. I think we've had them about 6 weeks, something like that, but that was my carrot bed there, and about 70% of them went to seed So that was a real blow. About hundreds of carrots went to seed. So it's a good job I had those earlies to keep me going. Some lovely little Savoys. These are a mini Savoy, so they're planted quite closely together. You just get a fairly small heart, but that's the way we like it, because otherwise you just like eating Savoy for days and days on end. And then I've just popped a few spare brassicas in here, just sort of a little bit of convenience. Most of the brassicas are on Jennie's plot. Obviously we've got some kales there, dazzling blue curly kales, bit of calabrese, bit of green sprouting broccoli, bit of tender stem broccoli, some more tender stem broccoli down there, more tender stem. And then these are the summer raspberries. I've got a lovely crop to come on here. And we have actually got a few raspberries. You probably can see just a few down there. But Debbie's been picking them, so there's not that many to see. And I do need to get some of these supported because they're all falling over a bit. And then the gooseberries. Fantastic crop of gooseberries. I think everybody seems to have got a fantastic crop of gooseberries this year, so really they're too heavy for the branches and they're all fallen over, but they'll be harvested soon, so they'll be fine. And I'm so pleased with the gooseberries because last year we just had a terrible problem with grey mould on these plants down here, and we had the same problem this year, but I've managed to control it to probably at 90% degree, and so that's made all the difference. This is my first batch of beetroot, which is doing pretty well. There's a little bit of damage from the leaf miner. Just to keep taking these off. And then there's more beetroot here. This is Cylindra. And just look at my poorly tomatoes. We just had such cold weather not long after I planted them and just got really badly burnt. But anyway, got plenty of tomatoes, so I'm not that worried. And these are just some spring onions that I planted early on in the year, and I just left them basically because I've got so many spring onions. They're making nice little onions, so I'm pretty pleased. I'm actually going to harvest these now because we've got loads of onions, and so we'll get some of these given away, and some more tomato plants at the back there. But again, another bed that I can get cleared. Some gorgeous Carvelo Nero, although there's a little bit of damage on some of the leaves now, so I need to get those picked. I'm not sure whether it's what it is. I suspect it's some sort of fungal infection on the underside of the leaves. And then here's my mini greenhouse, which is currently being used for drying. And so we've got garlic, elephant garlic, more garlic, and more elephant garlic, onions, more onions. And we've got a lot of garlic at home that we've processed, so that's going pretty well. And then here I've got I can't even remember what it's called. Turnip greens for smoothie mixes, chard, obviously for cooking and for smoothie mixes. And then I've got a bed of peppers, and I didn't think anything was going to happen with these peppers. They were such small, sickly little plants. I just thought, well, I'll bung them in here, pop the top down because it's a little hoop tunnel, and I'll see, if I can get anything from them. And they're actually growing really nicely now, so I'm really pleased that I took the chance on them. And and I've interplanted them on this side. I think are spring onions, and on that side are baby leeks. And then down here, so up here I've got some alderman peas, golden beetroot, lettuce that's pretty much finished in this bed now. So it's our primary lettuce bed, still absolutely fabulous. Spring onions at the end there, and then down here we've got golden purslane with a little bit of a problem with green fly on this, which we've never had before. And then in there we've got spring onions and New Zealand spinach, and that is the periphery. So down the centre, you've seen these already. These are my sprouts planted in clumps of 3 sprout plants, and they are just the most amazing source of spring greens, or summer greens now, and they just keep on going. I just keep picking these leaves and they just keep on going, and now they're starting to form sprout tops, you see. And once I pick those sprout tops out, which will probably happen in a week or two, the sprouts will start forming on the stems, and so I'll get some early sprouts, and then this bed will be cleared for its winter veg in September time. Those sprouts will come out and I'll be replaced by other clumps of sprouts, young vigorous plants that will go all the way through winter. Another lovely lettuce bed, Grenoble Reds. Nice little carrot bed. Oh, this is our first year of asparagus and it's been amazing, very pleased with that. And then this is my last batch of spinach. This is Red Kitten. It's really gorgeous stuff. This will run to seed pretty quickly, but it doesn't matter because we've got loads of New Zealand spinach as well, and we won't plant any more spinach until the end of July, and then into August and September. Basically we don't have spinach in the height of summer. We've got another lettuce bed, spring onions around the outside, another bed that I've cleared, that was the carrots, and then I got another amazing bed of New Zealand spinach growing very strongly, and another of golden purslane, some ever-bearing strawberries, and then this bed here is ever-bearing strawberries around the outside, shallots down the middle, and we did have garlic in here but I've taken the garlic out, but the shallots are still growing fairly well, so I'll leave those in for a few more weeks. And we've got apple trees and cherry trees down the centre, and then more ever-bearing strawberries down here, and then the onion bed, or one of the onion beds, and again that is going great guns. Very, very happy with that. Starting to see some really nice progress on them. Obviously they've got a long time to go yet, but yeah, they're growing really strongly. Very pleased with those. And then I've just popped some more sprouts in here. The red ones are rhubarb, and again looks like some sort of caterpillar on here eating them. As I say, I've only just really got back to my allotment, just been doing a bit of work on Jennie's, so lots of things looking a little bit messy, but we'll soon have everything sorted. Some more tomato plants looking very sickly, but again I'm not really worried about that. Popped in a few more sweet corn in here, just some spares, some more lovely dazzling blue kale, hungry gap kale. Definitely won't be growing that again early in the season. It's definitely something to grow for the hungry gap, so something to be planted out probably in August. Some nice dazzling blue. It's going to seed now, just starting to go to seed, which is actually quite nice. That's the same with Carvalho Nero just starting to go to seed. So got couple of more months out of this. Got new stuff, or new seedlings ready to go in and replace all that. And so that, I think, is the quick overview of my plot. Here we are, Jennie's plot. We've got an orchard area down here, which is looking pretty good. We've had a lot of drop, which is fantastic because that's less thinning that I need to do. And yeah, these apple trees are looking good. Plum tree, not so good. On this site, we always seem to get, lots of people seem to get this leaf curl problem. Not sure what it is. Pears. Need to get rid of some of these pears, there's way too many. More apples, again, looking very nice. More apples. And we dehydrate a lot of apples, so I'm very happy to see this number. In fact, I'm still eating dehydrated apples from last year. Been excellent. Rhubarb, we don't eat a huge amount of rhubarb, but this is plenty for us. And then this is the main brassica bed, planted up primarily with winter veg, although I do have a bit of calabrese in here, and some autumn red cabbages and some other bits and pieces, but you can see very well calabrese in there. Not going to open it up. And then this is where the broad beans were, and it's now where the squash are. And there's a lot of, most of this is Crown Prince, and it's all starting to grow really nicely now. It's been stalled because of the really strange cold weather that we've had in June, but it's coming on. So just recently planted these, and I didn't actually realise that I'd got some more of the Trumpettinos, but I have. So that's actually quite welcome because I haven't got very many courgettes, and it's a mystery because I absolutely know that I had 6 courgette plants and they're doing really well, and I thought I planted them, but I don't know where they are. So I just, no idea what happened to them. So anyway, that's going well. Leeks, you know, after all the cold weather we had, planted the leeks and we had 2 or 3 really hot days. So that was really annoying. So they're looking a little bit worse for wear, but I'm sure they'll survive. Under there I've got brassicas, basically all sorts of brassicas that will be finished in October. So red cabbages and what else have I got? Aztec broccoli and green sprouting broccoli and calabrese and stuff like that. Carrots, just one run of carrots all the way down there, so it's quite a long run, needs watering. And then this is where all the beets are going, so that's where our main 4 rows of beets for storage, 4 different varieties. And if I just jump over here, another big onion bed, all grown, like all my onions are all grown from seed, apart from my overwintered ones, but this year I'm going to do the overwintered ones from seed as well. Just doing a bit of weeding. Yeah, very, again, pleased with these, going really nicely. And then just round the outside I've got strawberries. We've had a fabulous crop of strawberries, and you can just see down here still plenty of strawberries to pick tomorrow. More strawberries down here, strawberries all around there. But oh dear, look at this. These are the runner beans, and they're just they just haven't grown. It's just been too cold for them. Really, really sad. And it's the same. Well, this is where the garlic was, down the centre here, and there's elephant garlic down the centre there. And actually, I should say, that's where the garlic and onions were, there and there. And so here, look, sad story. These are the French beans. I've got new ones to plant, but yeah. And then more French beans, again, just been too cold for them. Look at the poor little things. So this bed, I think, is going to get taken up because it's just going to take too long for these to. I've got some spares now to plant in here, but I think by the time I put them in, I'm going to want to clear this bed because this is where a lot of the cauliflowers and things like that are going to go for winter. Yeah, so no good. These, however, are doing lovely. These are the Aztec broccoli, and I'm looking forward to those. And then here, I've got a lot of purple sprouting broccoli and winter cabbages and winter calabrese and Romanesco cauliflowers and all of those sorts of things to go in here. So that, let's just walk back without falling over, is Jennie's plot. A mix of successes and terrible failures. So we're at Debbie's plot now, and she's been down today as well. So let's have a quick look round. She's got onions here and strawberries, and a good crop still to come on these strawberries. She's just taken out her stereo Marge 2 broad beans and some salad rocket here. She quite likes the stereo Marge 2 broad beans, but I'm not a massive fan of them. And you can see some of them down there. I prefer the real ordinary broad beans. And we harvested 75 kilos of those, so we're not short on broad beans. And then we've got some more herb beds. This is all a variety of different herbs, quite a few new ones that we got this year. And another herb bed here with some new herbs as well. Sweet corn. Oh, what I didn't say when I was talking about Jennie's plot was I planted 100 sweet corn plants, seeds, in the ground, thinking, well, it's June, there should be no problem at all. Not two out of 100 germinated. Unbelievable. So these are this one's just broken off, but these are the Marge 2 broad beans, and obviously you eat the whole thing. A reasonable crop, but this bed is going to be cleared soon, and in here are going to go purple sprouting broccoli all the way along here, and then there's some more beans here, again not doing well. Onions, another lovely bed of New Zealand spinach, huge numbers of black currants, red currants down there, more red currants over there, hopefully you can see all those. Stacks of black currants. I can't stand black currants, but Debbie really likes them. She makes all sorts of things with them. Loads of trees. I think this is a plum that's just been planted. This is pear. That's a pear. Fantastic crop on here. And again, we dehydrate pear. I have pear every day in my cereal. Dehydrated pear, and so this saves us an absolute fortune. Fabulous. All sorts here. Can't remember the name of this, but globe artichoke looks lovely. Loads of berries. Debbie has so many berries, I can't keep track of all the different names of them all. But tayberries and loganberries and obviously blackberries, raspberries, honeyberries, all sorts of different things. And we did have, or we do still have, some perpetual kale plants here, but they're not doing very well, unfortunately. I'm not really sure why they didn't thrive. I'll have to navigate my way out of this because it's getting a bit overgrown. Debbie's early straubs, rhubarb, gooseberries, another plum tree, same problem as the one on Jennie's plot, apple trees. This is Goji Berry. It's like a little bit of downy mildew on that. Looking forward to eating these. I've never had a Goji Berry, so quite interested to see what they're like. And I've got another herb bed down here, small sweet corn, loads more apple trees, cherry trees and the like. And then here, just near a shed, got some sunchokes, more gooseberries. I think this must be a red gooseberry variety. And I think that's pretty much it for Debbie's plot. Back to my plot now. I've got some perpetual kale, apple tree, blackberry, and I've got all these beautiful alpines growing along the top here. Really pleased with these. Sebums, plum tree, just more flowers down here. Pear tree, this is a new one on me, this is called Invincible, and yeah, not obviously it's a brand new tree really, so not surprising there's not much on it. More perpetual kale, daisies, cherry tree kind of overtaken by the daisies, some problems on that as well. So I'm just back home now, and I thought I'd just show you quickly all the seedlings that I've got. So basically these are all the beetroot, and I've got some lettuces here and some lettuces here. These did have 100% germination and then the slugs got them, and that's why I have these seedlings up on this bench protected by water sources, but I ran out of space, so these are staying in the house at night now. And I've got some spring onions, brassicas, peas to replace the ones I took out today. Brassicas, all different sorts of brassicas, I'll not go through those. And my first batch of autumn broad beans, of which I've got 3, and runner beans and French beans to replace the ones that are not growing very well. And yeah, it's quite remarkable how quickly these are growing by comparison with the ones on the allotment. And we're back where we started, and so you can see from Jennie's plot and those beans just how poor they are, just how much I like starting things in the polytunnel, because it gives me this kind of, perfect growing environment regardless of what's happening on that outside, where I can get things started and then get them outside when they're nice mature plants and they can cope with the weather conditions, and it just sort of insulates me. And because we're self-sufficient in veg, it's really important to me that I insulate myself from the vagaries of the weather to as much of a degree as I can. I don't know whether you noticed, but outside I've still even got some tops on some of my coal frames. All my beds basically are coal frames. All the coal frame tops are just behind me, stored at the back of the polytunnel there. But I've still got 2 on because it's just been so cold that the New Zealand spinach and the golden purslane have just needed some protection. They probably don't need it now, but earlier on in June they did. It was just too cold and wet for them. But they've absolutely thrived with the cold frame tops on. So there we go, end of the tour. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.